Hello guys and welcome back to the beginning of texturing. Today I'm going to go over how to properly lay out UV mapping, what automatic mapping is, and how to use the UVs and shells in our UV editor to create a really even UV layout. So with that being stated, let's begin. First thing I want to do is select the floor or any object that you guys have in your scene. In this case, it will be the floor. And we're going to isolate the selected object. So you can click on this icon here or press Control 1. On Mac, it is Control 1. However, it's not working. Okay, there we go. Just click on the icon. And let's make sure there's no double faces in here. See a face here on the side of the object. I might not want. Let's go back into the perspective mode. Okay, so that face I definitely will not see. Oops. So I should delete that one. And go back into object mode. And go to that face and I'll delete that one. Okay. Alright, so let's see, do I need that face? Sometimes you have these faces that no one will see, the camera won't see, and I would just like to get rid of them. So if I go back to that mode, okay, perfect. Alright, so nice, clean geometry. I'd like to rename everything, so I'll call it floor 1 underscore 1. I'll go to the edit, delete by type history, and then modify freeze transformation. So just in case I actually move this in any direction, I can zero everything back out. Okay, let's go to our UV editor. And in your UV editor, I'm going to click on this icon here to just turn off the display image. And this is what we see for our floor. It's not too bad by default. However, we need to see how the texture would fit on this particular object. So I like to assign a Lambert material, so assign new material. Right mouse click and hold assign new material on your geometry. We'll go to Maya, Lambert. I use a Lambert because it doesn't have any sort of specularity, any light bouncing off of it. Blends usually do. Let's click on the Lambert 11. Click on this. Checker material. And now I'll press 6. Okay. So this actually turned out better than I thought. I'm not for sure if the student whose file this belongs to already assigned a automatic map to this, but it does look really nice. There are a few edges I want to make sure aren't stretching. So my faces, if I click here, alright. Like I said, this face here corresponds with that. However, it's like that face. So this face is kind of hidden. If I hold shift and it's like that face, let's click on that face here. You can see that in your UV editor, it's actually represented as a line instead of like a quad like this one here and like that one. Probably when this person did the automatic mapping, it didn't lay out properly. So I'm going to go ahead and automatic map it. So UV, automatic. And now you can see it's broken up into much smaller pieces. Okay. And this is something that I think is doable. So let's go to edge. Actually, let's go to face. I'll click on this face. And I can see that that face is represented here. So press W. I'll move it. rotate it. Now if I right mouse click on here and go to edge, I can see that this edge corresponds with that particular edge in my UV map. So I'm going to begin to select shell, right mouse click and hold shell, I'll move this guy over, I'll select that face and move these guys together. Okay, I'll move it up and try to get them to be aligned. Okay. There we go. Now if I wanted to, I can right mouse click and hold, go to UV, I'll select these two UVs, I'll hold shift and say you guys align to that particular UV. So I'll click on that button here and it shifts it. The same thing with here. Like those two, right, that particular one, hold shift, select that guy and say, hey, you move to the left. Now of course these guys are going to be a little bit off, so shift it over. Okay, perfect. Go to face, select that face on here, and I'll hold shift and select that one. I'll zoom out my UV editor and I'll look for those two guys and I'll move them over. Perfect. Now, which face belongs where? That face, okay, needs to go right there. So I'll move it over pretty close. And then I'll select the next face, which is that guy. Move him over. Now something looks really off. This particular face is so huge in our UV editor, but in it's a little bit off here. So I'm going to scale it down to the actual size that it should be. So, okay. That and that. Okay. There we go. Okay. So this face here is actually the bottom, and then this face here is actually the top. So what I need to do is select this shell here, and I'm going to flip it in the U direction. So now that face and this face here represents that, and that represents this. Okay, perfect. Alright, now, next thing I need to do is right mouse click, go to face, select this one. Okay, it corresponds with it. And now I'm just trying to get everything to be properly aligned. Okay. Now I can select this face. Okay. And move this guy over. Okay, looks like he's part of a shell. You can see that it's connected with that one. So I'll right mouse click, go to shell, select these two guys, and then move it over like that. So the edges are kind of touching. And I'll select that face, move this one over. And I got some UVs that are overlapping, so I'm going to press Z to undo. Go to shell and select these two and just kind of move them out of the way for now. Select that shell, move it over. So it is kind of a time-consuming process. I'm almost finished. I'll try to go as fast as I can. And it's like that tiny little face here. I know it's right there. Over here. And then I'll rotate it. drag it over to the right, the shell. Okay, perfect. And now, right mouse click, shell, perfect. And I'll flip it, move this guy over, and then I'll select that face, move it over. I want to get closer so I can see how close it is to the edge. I'm not going to sew these edges together, but let's keep them as close as I can. Take that shell, and I'm going to find out which face this is. So I'll go to face, get the bottom to the top, so everything is aligning the way I want it to, and that's the last piece. Perfect. So I'll move this over to the left, and then I'm going to assume that that belongs here. I'll zoom in, I'll rotate it to the left. Voila. Alright, so now the last thing I want to do is just double check where all the edges are. I want this to be obviously the back of the object. This is the front of the object. This is the left. That's the right. So I'm going to right mouse click, go to edge. I'm going to highlight all the edges here. I'll press Control to deselect the edges here. And I can actually see in my UV editor that this particular edge here is on the wrong side. It should be down here. So I'll right mouse click, go to shell. I'll click on that shell, and I'm going to flip it in the V direction. So now if I click on edge, you can see how everything kind of corresponds to what I have, and yeah. Alright, perfect. Last thing I want to do is just take that face. I think I might have made it a little bit too large. Scale it down just a little bit to kind of match the actual size. Just like these two guys. Move it over. And now I'll highlight everything. I'll press R, scale it down. I'll move it inside of here. And when I have this complete, I want to scale it up as large as I can so that it fits this particular UV window. And now you can see all the squares are perfect squares here. If some of your checker pattern are flat shape, maybe it's like a rectangle, then scale it in the y-axis or the z-axis so that it looks perfect. And that's pretty much it. The next step would be to send this into your favorite texturing program, whether it's Mari or Substance Painter or Mudbox. In our case, it's going to be Mudbox. So I will see you guys in the next tutorial, texturing in Mudbox.